Oui, bonjour à tous, mes frères, mes sœurs, mes familles et mes élèves. Et soyez la bienvenue à Monsieur Silas Olainka. Good morning, family, friends, viewers, my esteemed students, and all that are watching this channel at Monsieur Silas Olainka. Et aujourd'hui, nous allons regarder, nous allons continuer avec les verbes. Today we are going to continue with the verb in French language. But before we proceed, let's give attention to the same adage of the day that we are running through. And that adage is, chaque chose en son temps. That simply means there is time for everything. Donc, on continue. French verbs are categorized into three. C'est-à-dire qu'en français, nous avons trois groupes de verbes qui sont très importants. Et le premier groupe de verbes que nous avons, ce sont des verbes qui sont terminés en ER. Et la deuxième groupe de verbes, ce sont des verbes qui sont terminés en IR. Et la troisième groupe de verbes, ce sont des verbes qui sont terminés en RE avec OIR. These are the three groups of verbs we have. The fourth group of verbs are verbs that ends in ER. The second group of verbs are verbs that end in IR ending verbs. And the third group of verbs are verbs that end in RE/OIR ending verbs. That is to say, when you pick up a dictionary, you look for a word, and you see most of the words that end in ER, they put V in front of them, they are verbs in French. And that's exactly what we'll be giving attention to today. You all know that, like in other languages, for you to speak good language or good French language, you need to know how verbs are conjugated. Very important. Donc, en français, comment est-ce qu'on fait la conjugaison du verbe en français? C'est très simple. How do we conjugate French verbs? It's very simple. Donc, on va parler du premier groupe de verbes. Let's give attention to the first group of verbs. On a la technique qu'on utilise pour apprendre ce verbe. We have techniques that we use to learn these ER-ended verbs. But before I give you the techniques, je voulais que vous reteniez ou bien raconter qu'en français, nous avons seulement un verbe qui est irrégulier en ER. Before we proceed, I want you to remember that we only have one verb that is irregular in ER ending verbs. And what verb is that? C'est le verbe aller. Aller is the only irregular verb that we have in French that will not follow the techniques that I'm going to teach you. So when you pick a verb, you will follow the techniques. What are the techniques? The techniques are E, ES, E, ONX, EZ, ENT. E, ES, E, ONS, EZ, ENT. That is to say, en français, vous devez utiliser E, ES, E, ONS, EZ, ENT. That is the technique you add while conjugating verbs in French language. Donc, prenons par exemple le verbe chanter. Chanter is a verb to sing. On a beaucoup de verbes qui sont terminés en ER, mais on va regarder quelques verbes aujourd'hui. Chanter. Par exemple, on dit je chante. You add I avec je. Tu chantes. ES. You drop the suffix, the ER, you add E to the first pronoun, ES to the second pronoun, which is tu, E to the third pronoun, which is he or she. Now we have ONS to the fourth pronoun, which is nous, EZ to the fifth pronoun, which is vous, and ENT to the last pronoun, which is they, either masculine or feminine. Donc regarde, je chante, tu chantes, il, elle chante, nous chantons, vous chantez, il, elle chante. Do you get that? Can you repeat after me? Je chante, tu chantes, il, elle chante, nous chantons, vous chantez, il, elle chante. You use these techniques to conjugate cet aller. C'est sauf aller qui ne respecte pas cette technique. It is the verb aller that does not respect this technique. The reason is because aller is irregular verbs. In my last video, where I mentioned 4 important irregular verbs, you can give attention to how the verb aller was conjugated. Donc, on va regarder quelques verbes ce matin. On a le verbe travailler. Répétez après moi, travailler, which means to work. On a le verbe manger, manger, which means to eat. On a le verbe parler, parler, which means to speak. On a le verbe regarder, regarder, which means to watch or to see. On a le verbe renoncer, which means to drop or to give up. On a le verbe assister, which means to support. On a le verbe fréquenter, which means to attend. Et ainsi de suite. Etc., etc. Etc., etc. All these verbs, alongside another verb that end in ER ending verb, are conjugated with that technique. E, E-S-E, O-N-S, E-Z-E-N-T. E, E-S-E, O-N-S, E-Z-E-N-T. That's a technique to use to conjugate that verb. ER ending verb. C'est facile, n'est-ce pas? Ce n'est pas difficile. It is not difficult. Et maintenant, nous allons voir la deuxième groupe de verbes. Let us give attention to the second group of verbs. Ce sont des verbes qui sont terminés en IR. They are verbs that ends in IR. With the regular verbs, we have some verbs that are regular in these verbs. Take for example, we have on the verb finir. Finir is a regular verb. We have so many verbs that are irregular. Now, let's give attention to the verb finir. How do you conjugate a regular verb that end in IR? They have also a format, which is IS, IIX, IS, IT, ISSONX, ISSEZ, and ISSENT. Fini par exemple, en français on dit je finis avec IX, tu finis avec IX, il ou elle finit avec IT. Then we have, on a nous finissons. Ce sont des verbes qui sont terminés avec ison. Nous finissons. We finish or we are finishing. Vous finissez, you finish or you are finishing. Il, elle finissent. They finish or they are finishing. That is verbs that end in IR and then verbs. These verbs, their conjugations are very simple. So how do we know verbs that are regular and the ones that are irregular? It doesn't come by chance. We study them. We learn them gradually. So the more you learn, the more you know. And to knowledge, there is no end. Donc c'est-à-dire que chaque jour, vous devez apprendre quelques sommes de verbes et vous allez voir des verbes qui sont irrégulières et des verbes qui sont régulières. C'est facile, ce n'est pas difficile. Donc quand vous faites de la conjugaison en français, vous devez raconter la technique qu'on utilise pour faire de conjugaison. So when we are doing conjugation in French, remember the techniques for regular verbs and irregular verbs, especially verbs that end in ER ending verbs and IR ending verbs. We have so many IR ending verbs. So therefore, je vais vous donner un devoir de faire. I'm going to give you a work to do. And what is that work? Could you find out at least 10 IR ending verbs that are regular? And conjugate it with the techniques given with IS, IT, ISSONX, ISSEZ, and ISSENT after dropping their suffix. So the one that is not regular, how do you conjugate them? What about RE ending verbs and OIR ending verbs? How do you conjugate them? This we're going to see in my next video. If you enjoyed the video that you have watched, click like and subscribe. Merci beaucoup pour avoir regardé Monsieur Silas Olaïka et nous allons voir dans la vidéo prochaine. Merci et ayez la bonne journée. Au revoir.